Oh my God, 173 days. Why? Why would you say something so awful like that?
It's almost kind of depressing, isn't it?
I know. I think I saw that. I think I saw that earlier, like actually on X or Twitter, whatever the hell people want to call it. It was like this and this many days till spring game. I was like, oh my God, it's so far away. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's such a long off season. That's the thing about college football. Like you literally get like 14 days a year, realistically, where you can like get up and get excited for college football. Um, and that's it. It's a fast 14 days, and then after that, you got your 200 and whatever some days of just deadness, aside from a spring game. And there's a lot of people who they don't wrap themselves up in the spring game too, which I understand. But
I'm all in for the spring game, but I get why some people wouldn't, especially like for people like us, maybe where it's like we wouldn't want to watch it because as soon as it's over, it's like, crap. Now we're back to nothing.
right, right back to the reality of nothing in front of us.
Almost just ignore it because all you do is lose a few days of anticipation. That's it. Shut up, Sean. Shut up. I don't think I have that much material.
Oh man, just wait till the off-season issues start cracking. We'll get some material here before too long.
You know how long it takes me to plan for the After Dark show every week? Oh my God.
Only 30 more times.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I won't say it live because it's only like 10 minutes. But Mark,
They don't have to know that.
You didn't hear that. I always put the best effort forward in the most professional manners. That's all we do around here, day
That's
in and
goddamn
day out.
right.
So I don't know if anyone's seen it too. I didn't make a banner. I did not make a banner for this one. I should probably do that real quick. Derek, waste people's time while I make a banner real fast.
Whoa, what are the great people of the voice of college football? What are we looking at here? Everybody, spring game. See the spring game comment, I get that one. That's kind of how I was for a long time. Obviously, just jumping on a couple different podcasts over the years, it's something I've had to pay a little more attention to. But I also understand why people don't watch it. Watching an inter squad scrimmage is it's not the most interesting thing in my eyes. I mean, I think it's interesting to see some of the schematics of it all, but at the same time, like you're watching a glorified practice, so it's it's really hard for myself still at this point to get excited for the spring game. But you know, who knows? It's cool to see some of the new newbies in a Duck jersey for the first time and kind of see what they're able to do. Um, yeah, our program is sinking now. This offensive analyst is gone. Dan's ready to leave us now.
Just burn down Otson.
That's what I'm saying, man. All of a sudden, we're fighting with Indiana for 15th in the Big Ten. It's gonna be rough. Spring ball's exciting until it happens. Honestly, that's about exactly where my head's at. I think it's the concept of the spring game more than anything that I enjoy. But
and
it's
then it happens, and then it's like depression.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, it's that, and it's like I said, it's a glorified practice. It's cool, and I love the idea of getting the fans, giving them a little taste early on in the year, especially in such a long off season. But it's tough to get excited for, in my opinion.
Well, because also you don't know in that spring game if you're seeing something that you actually will see in the season or how generic it's going to be. I think this last year we did see. This last year I was a little worried because it was Stein's first season. I will say this: like I watched the spring game and the offense was like, and we saw some of the same problems from the spring game in the season, like some of the deep shots where they were a little off. So we did see that progress through the season regardless, which was a little still concerning and should have been fixed. But the defense showed up in the spring game well, and that still showed up for the most part during the season. So that was also a good sign. So it's really hard to kind of feel out what to take away from the spring games.
See, and that's another point that I didn't even talk about yet. It's like, say you have a really low scoring spring game. Well, is your defense looking great or is your offense looking shitty? Or vice versa. You have a really high scoring spring game. Is it because you have a very explosive offense or is it because your defense is subpar? And it's like really trying to find that balance and understand that. For myself personally, it's like you see a long touchdown given up, and you're like, oh, sick, Tez Johnson just took it 80 yards to the house. And then you really think about it and you're like, wait, Jaleel Florence just gave up an 80-yard touchdown. So it's like, it's kind of that balance that I'm like, in my head, it's really tough to.
Well, and it was. And then this last year, we saw not a great offense, but a pretty, really, I would say, very close coverage stout defense in the spring game. Well, when the season came around, defense was not that stout, but a lot, very improved. Obviously, vastly improved statistically all around. And then the offense was still one of the best in Oregon's history, if not the best. So that said more about the defense in the spring game than the offense.
Which is fair. Yeah, obviously. Which is fair because that definitely translated. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know, some people might have a different opinion, but this was one of my favorite defensive years that we've seen in a while. The defense was fun to watch this year. So it translated, but like I said, it's finding that balance.
It's not overreacting to the spring game because again, we don't know what they're practicing against each other, so they already kind of have an idea of what's also happening.
And the playbook's vanilla for obvious reasons. I mean, you're having a bunch of true freshmen get some serious time in this game. You're not going to instill the full-fledged playbook,
You're not really blitzing,
No. And you're not seeing a bunch of crazy hits for, obvious reasons. There's some good and the bad. Like Captain here in the comments said Dylan Gabriel versus Dante Moore. That's probably the one I'm most excited to see. I'm just excited to see kind of how Dante Moore operates in a Will Stein offense, albeit in the spring game. Aside from that, there's a couple of defenders they brought in, like Cam Alexander, the UTSA transfer. I'm excited to see him in a Duck uniform. I'm excited to see how they use Brandon Johnson, the Duke transfer. I think they'll use him in the nickel a lot, but that'll be confirmed in the spring game. So there are some things. It's just I'm more excited to see the schematics of it all than the actual product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because Muhammad and Alexander both were ranked number 1 and number 8, I think, in pass deflections this last year.
Yep. 1 and 5 in
5. Okay.
Incompletions forced this year. So it's like to bring in both of those as transfers, that's big time. And Cam Alexander, all conference guy, obviously Jabbar Muhammad, all conference guy. There's some cool transfers that I'm excited to see. This class is highly explosive on both ends of the ball. Evan Stewart, I'm excited to see Evan Stewart in Oregon offense, kind of see what his role looks like, how they decide to use him. So there are some things. Like I said, it's just you got to figure out how to take the good with the bad, and I don't think that's something I've figured out how to do yet.
Yeah, again, it's like it was said. It was like the anticipation of spring ball, and then it's over. It's like, oh, sad.
Yeah, and then you don't really start getting excited until early August. That's about when I really started digging into practice notes and stuff like that. But until that point, man,
until then, there's like almost no information, anyways.
Nothing. No, very little media access. During the months leading up to that point. So it's for obvious reasons. We don't get a lot as fans to that point.